Hey, I'm Lucy, and welcome to Dissectologists. Today, I'm talking with Aimee Stewart, a self-taught multimedia artist whose work has become some of the most beloved imagery in the world. Her art blurs the lines between digital and traditional techniques, creating rich, immersive scenes filled with detail, color, and story. Today, we're going to explore that intersection between art and experience. So, Aimee, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm really excited about this. Thank you for inviting me.
So I'd love to start with your path as a self-taught artist. What did learning, on your own allow you to explore that might have been different in a more traditional setting?
I grew up just that kid, always with colored pencils and crayons and everything. And yeah, the most art training that I've ever had was high school. I took art class in high school. But after that, there was a number of years up until right about the time Photoshop came out, and loved traditional art. But when you have a tiny apartment and not much money, it doesn't really make sense to try and go out and buy all the oil paints and all the things and try to set up a studio. So Photoshop came out, and I think I can safely say, like, a lot of us kind of found some bootleg versions of it out there.
It's expensive.
It was so expensive at the time, and got that and started playing around with it, and it was just this light bulb moment of, oh wow, I can play with this and not have to have this giant huge setup. And from there, it just became kind of a challenge to myself just to see how much I could learn. And Lars was so great. He would get me Photoshop books and they would just stack up in the corner because I was just teaching myself and I was finding paths that worked for me. And I look back at it and I think, oh gosh, if I had gone to art school, if I had even taken Photoshop classes, I probably would not have found these interesting little side ways of doing things, of looking at things, of collaging and painting things, and because I would have learned it properly. But my mind doesn't work that way. My mind is just a little labyrinth of chaos, and it's kind of how I learned it. And I think that kind of shows up in my artwork. It's organized chaos, and I think if I had gone to school, that might have been stripped a little, and been, maybe more refined, but certainly I don't think as fun.
And when you're talking about sort of like the self-taught aspect of this, was this before like YouTube videos were available and things that really make actually self-learning more accessible?
Oh, absolutely. It was before YouTube. It was before anything. You had to go buy a book and look on the pages and follow the steps to have the outcomes. So there were no easy ways for me to teach myself. It was hours of sitting and clicking different things within Photoshop and going, what does that do if I do this? If I overlap it there and add this, what does it do? And after, working 8 hours at a job that just I didn't like, it was just basic work and things, that was my oasis. I liked the challenge and it was creative, and so I didn't mind doing that for hours and days and weeks and months, and pretty soon I was starting to do some cool things with it. So yeah, it was before anything was easy. It was all hard.
An oasis. Oh, that is beautiful imagery. Really? I mean, to think about your home away from work, that place where you have to be for the paycheck that you really, a lot of times, it's very hard to be that person, I think, in the world who finds the perfect job they love to do every day. Like you hear those stories, but they're pretty, it seems like they're pretty rare.
Yeah. No, it really is. And I worked every job under the sun. I think I counted at one point, I had 13 different jobs, just doing what I could to fill in the gaps. Yeah, that truly was an oasis. And I would stay up till the wee hours of the morning, just lost in a world of, and never thought it would pay me a dime. I wasn't even thinking of that. I just wanted to be creative.
I have to know, did you have a Photoshop for Dummies book?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, that was like, the first thing you see when you go to Barnes and Noble or Hastings or whatever in that section was like, oh, well, that's for me. Yeah, and it sat in the corner. I don't even know if I ever opened it. It was like, oh, maybe I'll need this.
Those books were they were great, actually. They were I picked up so many of them, and I don't think you were a dummy if you picked one up. If you were willing to read and teach yourself something, you're not a dummy, you know?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, the information was fantastic, and through the years, I actually have gone back and looked at some of those and referenced it when I'm like, okay, how should I really be doing this? Instead of my backwards way that takes 10 steps, I wonder if there's a shortcut. And there usually is.
Oh, man. So, are there elements that you maybe think about differently, knowing that your artwork is going to be experienced in a puzzle format?
Yes. In fact, when my agents first signed me, my artwork was more geared towards greeting cards and wall art and illustration and things like that. I think we had 2 puzzles out with my first agent, but they were in more of that illustrative theme. And my new agents came and they said, "Hey, we really think that you have something here, but we would like to, if you trust us, kind of guide you along the way and show you how we think you could take your art and really make it amazing for puzzles. You have the foundation, but
Hmm.
and I had never really thought of it as a major theme in my life. It was kind of just a side point. So, yeah, I kind of had to take away that more poetic, flowy, very open, lots of sky and lots of greenery and all that kind of thing, and realize that that might not make a great, compelling puzzle. But once they kind of explained it to me and said, hey, maybe try filling it in with, you're already good at detail, try to expand it, I just ran with it. It just clicked in my head. And then now it's just by second nature. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see how I can take this one idea and just expand it to where there's detail from side to side, and it will make a fun journey for a puzzler.
Your puzzles to me are unique, and it's funny to describe it that way in a way, because like a lot of your puzzles I counted them today, by the way. I had to pull them all out and be like, how many Aimee Stewart puzzles do I have? Because I know I have a lot. And it's like a dozen. I was like, but I have a small collection.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like I have a ton of collage ones.
Yeah.
And that is a genre in jigsaw puzzle, but like yours to me like sit in a different space because they are so immersive. Your eye is like moving through each element.
Oh, I love that.
It's noticeable to me when I'm puzzling them.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me, because it is, I'll sit and it's like my eye just kind of, I look at it like, I hear about how people speed read a page and they can just glance at a page and get the whole idea. And when I'm doing a piece, I sit back and I can see the whole thing in full and see where it's out of harmony in one spot. And then I'll just bring some element in or change the direction of something until it harmonizes. And I also have a musical background, so that kind of plays into it. I kind of think in those terms. So I really love hearing that, because it plays a huge part in those collages specifically. And those, I have always tried to make them as if you just walked into a room, leaned over, and are looking at a real existing still life almost of something that perhaps somebody really passionate collecting those things just artfully, cast across their desk, and you're catching a glimpse of it. And that's what I'm always striving for.
It does kind of feel like you're sneaking a peek into somebody else's life,
I love that. Yeah. That's cool.
Some puzzles are one and done.
Yeah.
But your work is something I think people come back to again and again. I at least I do. Why do you think that is?
Oh, gosh. I love that. I love hearing that, because I come from a family that puts together puzzles, and I know what it is to like put one together and be like, okay, out the door, donate it back or whatever. And then the ones that have carried over time and time again. And I really try to put a lot of heart and a lot of my own experience and even just Gen X representing into it so that I know if I have a connection to it, and I think that's the key. If I have a connection to it, I know other people will, because I always try to make what I want to see. And when you put that kind of heart into something and really, really enjoy it, I think it has an energy. And it's a fun, positive energy. And I think if I was to guess, it's the good feeling that people want to put together again. Not necessarily, I mean, I'm sure putting the image together, but I think it's an energy and a good feeling that's like, oh, I want to feel that again. At least that's what I hope.
I also think what's interesting, you mentioned Gen X, and I kind of see this like translating into your artwork. And it's probably because like I'm right there too, like on the verge of X and,
Yeah.
millennial. And so I'm a 1980s baby.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is that like unique upbringing where in very impressionable years of our lives, we're seeing this like crazy transition from so many things being like analog based to like this insane technical revolution of
Yeah.
the internet,
Yeah.
which changed so
Oh, yeah.
much. But I do see like a love of analog and nostalgia, I think, showing up in your artwork.
Oh, yeah. That's, that's my love language, is going back to those days prior to all this. Not that I don't love it. I love technology, but, those days where everything was just in front of you. What you had in your world was right there in your town, in your room with your best friends. So I do. I try to capture that magic, like Blanket Fort is one that just like right back to my childhood. There's a lot of things in that puzzle. My stuffed squirrel that I still have from childhood is in that puzzle.
No way.
Yeah, Miss Susie. That's her name.
That's so cool. I love that integration.
Yeah, yeah. And if you look on the wall, there's one of those old-fashioned frames that has like 20 spaces in it for family photos. And every single photo, Lars and our childhood photos are in there, as our friends from childhood. I went around and said, "Hey, everybody want to be in a puzzle?" And so I just grabbed all their pictures and put them in there. And so it's just like, I just think we're all kind of missing and yearning that sweetness of those times. And so I just try to put it in puzzles as much as I can.
What a special gift to be like memorialized on a puzzle. That's so cool.
I love doing that. I love putting those little things and my family's names and our pets and friends' pets all make little cameos. And I just like, whenever I'm making something. In fact, I just finished a puzzle today, and she doesn't know it, but a classmate of mine that I love, and she loves my puzzles. This will give you clues to what it's about. She's a quilter.
Oh.
And so on one corner, I put Miss Becky's patterns. And she's not going to know it unless she listens to this until she sees it. But she'll probably listen to this. So, surprise, Becky.
So your work is really detailed, as we've kind of been talking about. It's also so vibrant. It almost feels like you're stepping into another world sometimes with your imagery. Do you think of your pieces more as images or as environments?
Oh, definitely environments. Because I do want people to feel as if they're immersed in it. They're in that world. I know I feel that way when I'm making it. I always say, oh, I just spent, 3 weeks in this world living here. And I tell myself stories in my head when I'm in that artwork making it, because I can see beyond the borders. I can see what's in the room beyond the desk or whatever, and in my imagination. And so, yeah, I hope that people can put themselves in it. And it's kind of why I don't often put people in the puzzle, because I feel like once you put a person in the puzzle, it dictates it, who's there. And I feel like without people, the puzzler themselves can just step in and be in the scene. I think that's also another reason why people like doing them again.
We were kind of talking about like analog, versus now a lot of tech and internet. And I think in art too, your work sits in this space between digital and traditional. Do you think those boundaries are still meaningful or are they like starting to blur?
It's the Wild West right now, as far as that goes. I mean, obviously, we've got AI as a wild thing that's happening. But that aside, I'll put it this way. When I first started really showing my artwork I used to go and still wish I could, I just don't have a lot of time, to like science fiction and fantasy conventions. I started taking my artwork there and was always very upfront that this was a blend of Photoshop and traditional and collage and all of that multimedia. And I would sit on panels, and this one guy once, who was a traditional artist, he looked at me and he was like, ugh, digital art isn't worth the paper it's printed on. And this was in front of an audience. We were sitting in front of a packed audience of probably 60 people.
What?
And yeah, and he was the moderator and I was the guest. And then there were two other traditional artists with me.
Hi, thanks for coming. Insult. Oh my
I know.
gosh.
I know. I just sat there and I looked out at the audience and I said, well, I think you probably just insulted most everybody in this room because, hey, raise your hands. Who of you have bought something that was probably made in Photoshop or digital? And almost everybody raised their hands. I'm like, well, there's the value.
I bet.
They enjoyed it. And my goal has always been to blur that line so that you don't know what you're looking at. Not as a trying to hide it, but like, I just want you not to think about it. Not like, oh, it's bad Photoshop or whatever. I think I just want to take your mind off of it and be like, oh, it's just really good art. And so now I think people are far more able to enjoy it and to look at it, because that was years ago. That was, a decade and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's nice. It's nice to be in a world where digital artists are appreciated, and also people who can blend those talents and have traditional background, can not be afraid and say, well, I actually like transferring it over to the digital world.
Yeah, it's cool that you think about it that way too, a little bit more fluid between the two.
Yeah.
I love photography and taking pictures of flowers, but they end up in Lightroom,
Yeah.
and then in Photoshop. And I'm always tweaking,
Yeah.
definitely blurring the line between
Yeah.
just a raw photograph,
Right.
and what actually, is presented is not.
Yeah. Or you're, and it's like, I'm glad those beautiful people exist that still take it to that level of purity. But, we have this wonderful digital world and there's ways to utilize it, and it reaches people who might not be able to access a light or an actual dark room, but they can have this. And I would rather the world be full of some creative people, at least striving to create something, rather than like, oh, I can't make anything because I don't have access to that.
Yeah, that's really a beautiful way of thinking about it. And mad respect to the people who
Yeah.
do raw photography. It is a
Oh.
skill for sure. I mean, that is a talent on another
Yeah.
level, and you really have to know your camera.
Yeah. And I think what's going to happen with AI, I hope this is what will happen. I think in the end, it will elevate the actual artistry, the people who are hands-on, that have developed those skills and who are painters and sculptors. I think it will elevate that once this complete tsunami has ran its course. And I already see it happening. People are getting sick of seeing it take over because it has gone into a realm of just kind of cookie cutter. You see the same thing over and over and over now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And so I just think everyone is worried, and it's been a huge worry, but I think all I can see is that it will elevate actual human skill more and more and more. People will look to that and be like, oh, I want something that was crafted by actual hands or a painter. And maybe my stuff that is kind of in the middle there, digital and traditional, hopefully I can surf that and just keep on focusing on making stuff that makes people feel good.
You also teach advanced Photoshop techniques, which, first of all, says a lot about your willingness to share your process, which I love people who knowledge share. I just think that is so powerful. Does teaching change how you think about your own work?
Yeah. And to be fair, I haven't done that in a while just because I've been so busy, but I was able to be published in Advanced Photoshop magazines, which was out of the UK, and they had their masterclass sections. And this was before I was even doing puzzles. And it made me slow down and just realize that there's techniques that I have learned and taught myself that maybe only I found that backwards route, but it was useful to somebody. Yeah, it was really satisfying when I would put those out, and then I would see people who replicated the tutorials and would talk about, "Oh, this was great. I learned this from Aimee," and it just always blew me away because I'm from a tiny town, like tiny, tiny town. And so to like open up these magazines and then hear people give me feedback and learning things from me, it just blew me away. But yeah, it was very satisfying. And I always basically said, it's not hard. It's tapping into your imagination, really, that is the key element. Just chase your imagination. Just go down deep. That's where the magic is. Everything else is just technical.
If you don't have an idea or, of what you're
Yeah.
creating,
Yeah.
the tools are a nothing to
Yeah.
you, really.
Yeah, truly. There's this great quote that I heard ages ago. It was, "We do this art thing or we burst into flames." And that is exactly how I've felt all these years. It's not a pursuit to an end goal. It's a way of life. And if you feel that and you chase that just for yourself, good things will happen. Good things will happen.
So, how does it feel knowing that your art becomes something people spend hours, days, depending on the puzzle size,
Oh
weeks,
gosh.
really immersed in and staring at it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, like really looking at your
Yeah.
artwork.
Yeah. Try not to think about it too much. No.
Well, now I've forced you to go there. I'm so sorry.
Now you pointed it out. No, no, no. It's no, actually, because my art is also in cross stitch, and these people spend years of their life cross stitching the same thing that you are puzzling. And I've seen children grow up in the time they started and posted a picture of their baby next to the fabric.
Wow.
And then 7 years later, they finish the piece, and here's a 7-year-old child next to it. For me, it's just a profound sense of gratitude that someone will invite my artwork, whether it's a puzzle for hours or a week or cross stitch, which is years, that they'll invite my artwork into their lives and enjoy looking at it for that long. I don't think there's any better compliment that you can receive as an artist than having space in someone's life. It blows me away. It never gets old. Like, that is just like a beautiful, magical thing in my life every day when I wake up. Like, oh my gosh, people are wanting this, wanting to have space for my art in their life. And it's just beyond words, really. It just makes me grin all the time.
I love your sense of gratitude too. That's why you're doing what you're doing. That's why you're successful, right? Like,
I've worked all these kinds of jobs. One of the last jobs I had, actually, Lars and I together, working, scrapping out houses, new construction,
oh,
hauling out all of the sheetrock,
oh my gosh.
pounds of sheetrock in a hot summer day and taking it to the dump. And I would spot thousands of nails through, with hot mud in the house all day long, and just wishing I could have a creative life, but, glad I could spot a nail and earn some money, it's just every day when I get up and I really have the privilege of living this wonderfully creative life. It's like that's always in the back of my mind. Like, that's where it came from, and this is all a gift. And that I will never forget. So I think that helps me just remain completely grounded and humble and like thankful. So thankful, because without the people there enjoying it, this would all go away in a poof.
Yeah.
So I'd be back to spotting nails, which I can still do.
It's a skill.
It's a skill. Keep that in my back pocket in case things change, you know?
Yeah. Plan B.
Plan B, yeah. Exactly.
When you think about what's next, are there projects or ideas that you haven't explored yet that you would like to?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You know, puzzle-wise, I have a list a mile long of things that I'm looking forward to creating, and things I haven't seen out on the market yet that I know that I want to introduce. You know, that's the given. Outside of puzzles, I love writing. I have a children's book that I've already written. I illustrated the whole thing. I finished it back in 2012. And that might see the light of day, or another book. I always keep that ahead of me of something that I would absolutely love to do. Kind of the sky's the limit. I just look at all these wonderful avenues of creativity and think, why not? You know, let's dive into it. Maybe something will be there when I'm 75 and I'm like, okay, I'll try something new now. But for now, yeah, there's a lot of fun things on the horizon for puzzles. And maybe like even children's puzzles, things like that, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to see your children's artwork.
Yeah, there's just always interesting ideas floating around between myself and the different puzzle companies, so we'll see.
Oh, planning hands. Those are the evil planning
Yes,
hands.
planning hands. Yes, we'll see.
What do you think makes something not just beautiful, but something people return to?
They have to have a connection to it. There's gotta be an element that they see themselves in, or that it takes them back to a special time, or it gives them space to breathe. I've heard from a lot of people around the world, especially during the pandemic, that when puzzles just went into the stratosphere, people were finding such safe harbors in doing puzzles and the imagery. They were able to travel when they couldn't travel. They were able to, you know, find these quiet spaces and just kind of find peace in them. And so I think those are the things that keep people coming back to a certain image. And at the end of the day, that's what keeps me making it. I spend hours and weeks and months on an image that I have connections to and that transport me. And it, you know, has to be fun too. That's the thing. Like, gosh, I just want to have fun. And a lot of the time, when there's stress happening in the world, which it seems to be happening like at chaotic amounts right now, I think people just want to go and have fun, turn their brain off of all the seriousness and just have a little frivolity. And that's why, like again, I talk about blanket fort, but honestly, that was my big invitation to people of like, come on, let's just chill in a blanket fort for a while. Let's forget about all that and chew bubble gum and look at a music magazine. That was my invitation to people.
Yeah, it shows that you do pour yourself personally, I think, into the artwork, because as a fan of yours, I would describe your artwork as like it's comfortable, like my favorite sweatshirt.
Oh, I love that.
I throw your puzzle down when I when I want something comforting.
I love that. That's like perfect.
Yeah, it's not just the nostalgia, I think, of the art, but just like the ease of the puzzle journey itself.
Absolutely.
It's like very calming and meditative. Like it is that space that feels lovely, you know?
I love that. I love that. Because I know there's a lot of people that are like, how can that be? They're so detailed dense. And I get it. You look at one of my puzzles like, oh my gosh, that just looks like a crazy mountain. And I always try to tell people that to me, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Because there's always a place you can find, you know, you see that little detail. It's like, oh no, it belongs over there, rather than just big chunks of color. I don't know how people put together those solid colored puzzles. Those look like,
Right?
I haven't tried one.
I haven't either.
I have not tried
I
one.
don't think I'm ready.
Yeah, it's above my skill. But yeah, no, I think that also absolutely just being able to follow the detail, follow the story. I try to do subtle coloring too, so that if there's a lot of neutrals, if you really look and compare the pieces, one side should be a slightly different tint than the other side, just to make it a little easier. Those little things count.
So I end every interview with the same 3 puzzle questions, and there's no right answers to these. These are just for fun. Aimee, what is your favorite puzzle size by piece count?
Honestly, I think I just have to go with the good old 1,000-piece puzzle. To me, it's a good challenge, but it's not like, okay, I'm strapping in and going on a roller coaster of like a 2,000, 3,000 piece.
Right?
It'll still fit on my table. I would say probably amongst my family, I know my mom would argue with that and say she wants more 500-piece puzzles. I do like a good 500-piece puzzle. Because then you can
Yes.
kind of sit down. It's like a nice little snack size. I like that.
Snack size. Ah, that's such a great way to describe it. Okay, the second question I ask everybody is, you're finishing a puzzle and you realize one piece is missing. What do you do?
Oh, no. I immediately look on the floor. I look everywhere around. I assume that I lost it. I have found enough pieces. Just a couple months ago, my mom was putting together a puzzle, and I was kind of popping in and helping her, and she put the whole thing together. One piece was missing. And I'm like, it's got to be here. It has to be here. And sure enough, it had flipped off the table, and there were cords leading off behind a piano, and it wedged itself between 2 cords and was completely hidden. So I have heard enough stories of people finding pieces in salad crispers and in their shoes that I automatically assume
What?
it is in here. So, oh yeah, I have a whole thread on my Facebook page. I ask people, where are the craziest places you found, puzzle pieces? And I should publish a book for puzzle lovers because the answers will astonish you.
The last one is, and apparently this is a big debate. You open a new puzzle and there are pieces stuck together, right? Like sometimes the corner hasn't fully come apart.
Yes.
Aimee, do you leave them assembled or do you pull them apart and mix them in with the other pieces?
I pull them apart and mix them in. Yeah. I didn't know it was a big debate. I have heard people get really kind of irritated when they find puzzles like that, though. Like, oh, well. Yeah, no, I do. I pull them apart and mix them in because I'm like, okay, you can't cheat at it that much. You have to, pull them apart. But, maybe if it's a snack, if it's a snack puzzle, maybe just leave them together. It's okay.
Well, Aimee, thank you so much for spending time with me today. This has been super fun.
I have completely enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
And to everyone listening, whether you puzzle for the art or the feeling of getting lost in something for a while, you're doing it the right way.